Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome everybody. I am Dr. Amjad Ali and I am going to deliver lecture 3 for the course of Advances in Human Resource Development and Management. Now, first of all, let me give you the recap of lecture number 2, that what we actually have done in the last lecture. In the last lecture, we have discussed how strategic planning is related with strategic human resource management. Here we have discussed that there is a corporate level strategy, there is business level strategy, and there is functional strategy. And actually, strategic human resource management shows the link of the activities of human resource management with the strategic planning or company level planning of the organization. Then we have also discussed what can be the core competencies with respect to human resource management. Here we discussed that HRM can play a vital role in terms of the productivity of employees, in terms of customer service, in terms of quality of products and services, as well as some of the specific HR skills, as well as some of the innovation with respect to product or service of a company. We have discussed what is HR planning. It actually manages, anticipates and manages the need and supply of human resources in order to maintain and keep competitive advantage for the organization. Then we have also discussed how to develop the HR plan. Here we have said that first of all, organization would be gaining some of the insight from the company level plans. Then we are to actually scan the external environment, that what are the factors taking place in the environment. It may be some of the rule regulation promulgated by the government. It may be some of the economic conditions prevailing in the market. It may be some of the technological or socio-cultural changes taking place in the environment. Then within this HR plan, we are to scan the internal environment of the company. Then we are to actually forecast the need for human resources for the company, as well as the supply of the human resource for the company or for the job that it has actually identified. Here we are to discuss some of the internal supply for human resources, and we are to check some of the external supply sources for human resource. Then we are to actually check the balance between the supply and demand for human resources that we have actually targeted for a particular job. And finally, we are to make plans. With respect to the factors that are related with supply and demand, we have discussed certain methods that have their roots from statistical as well as mathematics, and we have discussed some of the methods that were based on expert judgment. And we have also said that forecasts may be made for certain short-term period, medium-term period, or long-term period. So at the last lecture, we have discussed what is the human resource planning process, and at the end of that lecture, we have discussed that what is the actual need for human resources by a company and what is the supply for human resources for a company. And at that time, we have identified certain strategies and plans in order to manage this human resources for a company in order to maintain or keep a competitive advantage from the support of HR department or function. Now we are to start our lecture 3, and what would be the contents of lecture 3. These are that how after we have identified any imbalances between supply and demand for human resources by a company, then we are to manage that resources. Either there can be a surplus or there can be a shortage for human resources. Then we are to discuss certain criteria that we can use in order to measure the effectiveness of human resources for a company. then it's not obvious, or it's not simply sufficient in just to check the HR effectiveness until unless it's compared with the market indicators that we can call HR performance and benchmarking. We are going to discuss it later on, and at the end of lecture we would be discussing human resource information system. This is the actually use of IT or use of databases in order to manage the requirements of human resource department. Now we are to start our lecture 3. The first topic for lecture 3 is managing human resource surplus or shortage. So at the end of the last lecture we have discussed what is a strategy and what is a plan that we have actually prepared, or we have actually reached at the last at the discussion of the last lecture. Actually at this point we are to focus on a problem by addressing either a labor shortage or labor surplus. So if there is any imbalance, if there is any mismatch between the need for human resources and supply for human resources, so there would be a problem. Either it can arise in terms of surplus, that we have human resources that is in excess of our actual demand, or we can actually face a shortage that is that's our human resource requirement is not being met by the current HR plan. So we are to devise some other strategy. Well, HR plan that we have the process for which we have discussed in the last lecture should include a specific figure. Here we are going to discuss that HR plan should be having certain qualities, that it should be giving a specific figure. HR plan should be giving certain specific figure that should indicate that what would happen with a particular job category or skill area. So what is we are to actually link it as a specific figure with a certain job category or skill area that we are to achieve in a specific time frame. So what we would be doing with certain surplus or shortage of HR within certain specific time frame. So students, हमने प्लान में देखना है कि जो हमारे पास एक्सेस में लेबर है या जो हमारे पास शॉर्टेज है लेबर की, वो हम कैसे फुलफिल करेंगे और कितने टाइम में हम वो probably फुलफिल कर लेंगे. So this is actually HR plan. Now we are to discuss that how we can manage HR surplus or how we can manage HR shortage. So starting with this management of surplus, first of all we are to discuss that what are the causes for this HR surplus, that why these organizations experience HR surplus. ये क्यों हो जाता है HR surplus, whether it's out of planning or something else. So actually बहुत ज़्यादा मार्केट में चेंजेस हो रही हैं, एट फास्ट पेस चेंजेस हो रही हैं. उन चेंजेस की वजह से ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस कुछ नई टेक्नोलॉजीज, नई मैनेजमेंट टेक्निक्स लेके आती हैं, उनकी वजह से लेबर सरप्लस में हो जाती है. देयर मे बी सर्टन गवर्नमेंटल रीजंस, like in our country we have experienced the nationalization of certain corporations or certain industry. Then we have in 70s and in 90s or early 2000s we have experienced or we have seen the privatization of certain firms. It may privatization of banks, of cement firms, of sugar mills, like this we have seen all of these. So here we are to discuss what are the causes for this human resource surplus. Well, actually, it may be certain. There may be certain economic reasons for HSMs. There may be certain structural reasons. Within this economic, there is a weak product demand. So, if a company experiences weak product demand, so it may experience certain surplus for human resources. That actual workforce is in excess of its requirement. तो उनकी डिमांड कम हो गई है और उनके पास एम्प्लॉइज हैं, So they are not actually operating their organizations or their firms at the full capacity for which they have planned in some past time. So now they are doing at some reduced capacity, so they are actually experiencing this HR surplus. Then it may be because of loss of market share to competitors. So because of tough competition, intense competition, companies may lose their market share to competitors, so they may face a surplus for human resources. There may be certain structural changes. An organization may have actually implemented certain technological change within their organization, so that has resulted in HR surplus. So because of the introduction of this technological change, organization may suffer HR surplus, and it's because of it may also occur because of mergers and acquisitions that are taking place in different industries. We can talk about banking sector. We are experiencing certain mergers and acquisition in pharmaceutical sectors. So because of these economic and structural changes, organizations are facing human resource surplus. Well, we would be discussing various options to deal with a surplus that actually differ in terms of their expense that we incur, in terms of speed, expense of the technique, or in terms of speed for which we would be able to achieve results, and amount of suffering for the people who would be actually asked to resign or asked to leave the company. So we would be discussing all of these points. Now we are to discuss what are the actual options that are available for management in order to reduce a surplus. So there are different options. Organization may go for downsizing. They may also opt for certain pay reductions. From the point of view of the employees, they may go for certain demotions. They may go for certain transfer हो सकती हैं, work sharing. और वर्क शेयरिंग इस तरह हो सकता है कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन देख रही है किसी एक डिपार्टमेंट में सरप्लस और किसी और डिपार्टमेंट में उनके पास अभी कैपेसिटी है, they can absorb certain people, so they may actually send these employees to a department where they are seeing a need for HR. Organization may actually check the surplus by opting for hiring freeze के future में या for certain time period there would be no external hiring, कोई नया बंदा नहीं आएगा, so they can actually deal with the surplus. Natural attrition हो सकती है, हम ये सारी चीज़ डिस्कस करेंगे. और they may go for early retirement or retraining. Retraining में उनको दोबारा किसी और स्किल में या किसी और एरिया में ट्रेन करके उनको एम्प्लॉय कर लिया जाएगा. Now we are going to discuss these options one by one, and we would be discussing only a few of the options. Well, the basic option that has been used extensively by the organization is downsizing. What is downsizing? Actually, students, you may have heard the term downsizing. We can actually make this term neutral by saying at right sizing. So some people may term it as right sizing. Downsizing को right sizing भी कहते हैं. So whatever you call it, right sizing, downsizing, you may call reduction in force. It's actually planned elimination of large number of employees with the goal of enhancing organization's effectiveness. So here organization is going to maintain its effectiveness or efficiency in terms of its cost on labor, in terms of its expenses on labor. So there are certain positive points for this downsizing. There are certain negative consequences that organization would be facing at some later point in time. So what are the positive consequences? Organization may feel or may experience increased competitiveness because now organization has gone for downsizing or right sizing. So now organization has actually reduced its number of employees in at a mass scale within a given time frame. They have actually reduced or slashed their workforce from considerable size to lesser size. We can say that 15,000 employees हैं किसी organization के, so if it plans to reduce it to 10,000, 11,000 employees, so within a short span of time, so we would be terming it as downsizing or right sizing. Now, we cannot expect that the benefits, increased competitiveness or increased productivity, would be felt by all the organizations, or it would be actually these positive points would be experienced on a continuous or on a length. We cannot expect that these positive points for organization would be felt for a longer period of time. Actually, these benefits are to be experienced by this organization for a short possible time. These cost saving or increase in productivity is actually experienced for a short possible time. Well, there are negative consequences, negative results, outcomes of this downsizing. Organization actually face loss of talent. So जो उनके experienced employees हैं, जो उनके बहुत ज़्यादा competent employees हैं, they may leave this, they may have opted for resign during, they may have left the organization during this phase. So they actually the organization may feel loss of some specialized skills अपने साथ ले जाएंगे, informal knowledge वो ले जाएंगे, and experience that is very much vital for the organization. So because of this loss in terms of talent, specialized skills, knowledge and experience, organizations will be facing these difficulties at some future point in time, and their productivity or competitiveness would suffer at some later point in time. Well, because of this downsizing, it disrupts social networks, because some of the people would be leaving the organization, and it would be actually resulting into people disruption of networks of people that were actually creative and flexible. So the remaining employees would not be able to develop networks that were flexible and that were creative. So actually organizations may face serious troubles or problems because of this downsizing. Well, surviving employees and people who would be able to retain their jobs with the organization would be actually fearful, they would be frightened, and they would not be actually willing to take risk for new ventures or for new product developments. Well, because of this downsizing, organization would face some of the negative publicity that may hurt this company image. कि जी इस company ने इतनी ज़्यादा downsizing किया, so it may face certain problems when it would be going into the market to hire some new employees. So people would be hesitant to join this organization because it has gone for this negative term downsizing. Now the people who are left with the organization, survivors, we are to actually work with these people, and we are to satisfy these people, and we are to keep these people motivated. So what we can do here, we are to actually deal with the survivors who are overburdened and demoralized. So organization workforce कम कर दी है, जो remaining employees है उन्होंने इस सब का काम करना है. So these survivors are overburdened, and because of this, because of the loss of jobs on the part of their colleagues, they are demoralized. So they are actually seeing different schools of thought with respect to these survivors. कुछ कहते हैं कि they would be happy because they have actually retained their jobs. They may see themselves successful. Well, this is not the case. Some research suggests that actually survivors would be in a shock state because they अब उनकी कह लें कि हालत ये हो गई है जो बच गए हैं, as if they have actually lost any of their relative. इसका शौक जो survivors को है, डाउनसाइज का उतना ही है, कुछ रिसर्च इस तरह के उतना ही इनको शौक है जितना कि आप अपने किसी रिलेटिव को खो देते हैं। लेकिन इसमें एक मिड पॉइंट है, वो ये कहते हैं कि उनकी जो शौक है वो उतना ही है जैसे आफ्टर वार लोगों का एक्सपीरियंस होते हैं कि जी जो लोग चले गए हैं उनका कोई कसूर नहीं था, हम बच गए हैं, सो इट्स बिकॉज ऑफ वी हैव एक्चुअली मेंटेन्ड आवर लाइफ बिकॉज ऑफ some other people. Now, this was something about how to manage this human resource surplus. So before going for this option, downsizing, we are to always go for and check the legal requirements before opting this downsizing, because organization may face lawsuit if it fails to comply with any of the legal requirement, and that has been made contingent by the organization, by the government. What is the next strategy? This is early retirement program. So organizations may reduce its workforce by going through early retirement program. We have actually seen these programs in our environment. Well, different banks have actually gone for golden handshake. तो ये जो सारी स्कीम गोल्डन हैंडशेक वाले या वॉलेंटरी सेपरेशन स्कीम्स हैं, these are early retirement programs. Well, here organization would be offering incentives that encourage senior employees to leave the organization early. तो जो अपने 50s या late 50s में हैं उनको ऑप्शन दी जाती है कि if you opt for retirement that is still premature, so you may be compensated with some extra benefits. Extra आपको अगर आप 2 साल पहले छोड़ के जाते तो आपको 4 साल की सैलरी मिलेगी. So here we may actually different organizations may opt for an approach that is called phased retirement program. So instead of having abrupt shock for the organization, from the perspective of organization for employees in terms of early full retirement, organization may go for phased retirement program. तो जो लोग अपने सर्विस से फौरन शिफ्ट करते हैं रिटायरमेंट में, उनके लिए शौक होता है बिकॉज नाउ दे हैव स्पेंड देयर लाइफ इन अ बिजी स्केड्यूल, so they are unable to adjust with the way of life, with the lifestyle that is totally free. So instead of going for full retirement, organization may opt for phased retirement program. So what is this? Here organization continue to enjoy the experience of older workers while reducing the number of hours that these employees work as well as the cost of these employees. तो यहाँ पे क्या है जी, organization को क्या benefit है? The organization would be enjoying the experience of these workers, older workers that are highly experienced, and और अब उनके लिए क्या employees के क्या benefit है कि जी now they would be working for a lesser number of hours within week. Usually 40 hours का week होता है हमारे business sector में. So now they may be required to work for a reduced number of hours. It may be 30 or 24 hours, and as well as employer would be receiving benefit in terms of reduced cost for these employees. बहुत सारे सेक्टर्स ऐसे हैं पाकिस्तान में कि आफ्टर रिटायरमेंट दे वुड बी हायरिंग दीज पीपल. हम ये बात कर रहे हैं कि एट रिड्यूस्ड कॉस्ट. तो आफ्टर रिटायरमेंट जो हायर होते हैं एम्प्लॉयज़, उनको वो सैलरी नहीं मिलती जो उनकी बिफोर प्री रिटायरमेंट थी सैलरी. तो रिटायरमेंट के बाद या लेट एज में, ओल्ड एज में उनको सैलरी कम मिलती है एज कम्पेयर टू द पीपल हु आर एट देयर फुल पोटेंशियल. So as compared to this downsizing or right sizing, early retirement program seems more human as an option to reduce staff because it doesn't compel anybody to leave the organization. So actually it causes less suffering. जो हमने start में कहा ना कि ये सारी strategies differ करती हैं in terms of expenses, in terms of speed and in terms of suffering to people. So जो early retirement program, ये suffering to people is lesser as compared to suffering that is caused by this downsizing. Another option for dealing with the human resource surplus is attrition and hiring freeze. Attrition occurs when individuals who quit, die or retire are not replaced. So it's a routine business with an organization that people would be leaving the organization at their own will, people would be dying as natural, people would be retired. So this is attrition. It can be a strategy, an option in order to reduce human resource surplus. Well, it would be very slow if it's not made, if it's not supplemented with this hiring freeze. Hiring freeze में क्या होता है जी? This strategy, this work well if combined with hiring freeze means that organization actually implements the policy of no hiring for certain period of time. It may be a single year or it may be a couple of months. So by actually coupling this attrition with hiring free, companies may achieve the objective for tackling with human resource surplus. Another option for reducing human resource surplus is layoffs. Well, there is a difference between layoffs and downsizing. Downsizing में उनको company से निकाल दिया जाता है. They have left the organization in full terms, in totality. They have left the terms in totality. Well, in layoffs, employees are placed on unpaid leave until called back to work when business conditions improve. So layoffs में उनको temporarily unpaid leave पे भेजा जाता है. आपके जो next 6 months के लिए आप unpaid leave पे जाएं और उसके बाद if conditions improve we would be calling you back. So this strategy differs. इसका objective भी different है as compared to downsizing. Downsizing वो जो permanent उन्होंने reduce करनी है अपनी workforce. Layoffs if they are going to deal with human resource surplus for short run. और temporarily अगर वो deal कर रहे हैं तो यहाँ पे employees are placed on unpaid leave and they may be called back to work when conditions are improved. So actually layoff is a reaction of a certain downward economic conditions. और जो आपने शुरू में कहा ना economic की वजह से economic activity slow है, recession है, या organization क्या है, they have actually lost its market share to competitors. So for these temporary reasons, transitory reasons, company may go for layoffs. यहाँ पे permanent उनको निकाला नहीं जाता. So this is a appropriate strategy during temporary downturn in industry or economy. So there is a question that if at time if the conditions improve and company now decides to call back, so it should be a clear-cut strategy that how these employees would be called back, on what basis. Either company may go for options for callback based on performance or based on seniority, or company may use a combination of these two bases, experience plus performance. So उनकी इन employees को call back कैसे किया जाए. So this is an important aspect when company is going for this option layoffs. कि इनको organization वापस कैसे call करेगी, किस criteria पे call करना है इनको. So this is a criteria that should be into your focus before you go for this layoff strategy. Now we are to discuss now we are going to discuss how to go for layoffs and downsizing that is not felt negatively. How we can actually lessen the shock of downsizing and layoffs for employees who are suffering from these company plans or company strategies in terms of dealing with HR surplus. So यहाँ पे different options हो सकते हैं. Organization is to actually seriously investigate alternatives to downsizing. So if any organization go for any of the options rather than to directly go for downsizing, so that should be opted, because downsizing would not be producing results in some long term. Well, downsizing only produces efficiency or effectiveness or cost saving for organization in short run. So if you have any strategy, you should be adopting that strategy instead of going for downsizing or right sizing, because this is the severest strategy to reduce human resource surplus. Now another option that we can take in order to reduce the effect of this downsizing and layoffs, we have to involve people necessary for success, who are necessary for success in the planning for downsizing. So managers, the people, managers who are close to the people who will be suffering this layoff or downsizing should be actually consulted while organization is going to take decisions with respect to this layoff or downsizing. We have to actually empower managers to make choices. तो उनको हम choices दे सकते हैं कि whether you opt for early retirement or not, या आप उनको पे रिडक्शंस की choices देते हैं. तो उनके पास अगर choice है ले ऑफ के लिए, अर्ली रिटायरमेंट के लिए या पे रिडक्शंस के लिए, so it's a better option rather than directly to go for downsizing. The moment we are going to announce this downsizing or layoff, we are to actually communicate with the employees. So we should be developing very clear plans to communicate the decision to the employees. इसमें abruptly नहीं होना चाहिए कि फौरन आप next day कर दे कि जी no, your services are no more required. कुछ organizations ने ऐसे क्या लेके बुरे तरीके से किया कि each person is employee who is going to be fired was receiving email that from tomorrow you are no more needed within the organization. तो इस तरह नहीं करना, उनको आपने एक क्लियर कट प्लान देना है, कम्युनिकेट करना है वेल इन एडवांस. पहले से उनको बताएं कि जी वी आर फेसिंग दीज प्रॉब्लम एंड वी आर एक्चुअली प्लानिंग टू ऑप्ट दीज स्ट्रेटजीज इन ऑर्डर टू एड्रेस दिस HR सरप्लस. तो आपने उनको कम्युनिकेट करना है और उनको रीजन देनी है व्हाई वी आर एक्चुअली डूइंग ऑल दिस. What we can do with the survivors, we can nurture the survivor, we can actually done certain counseling with these survivors, we can actually make them clear about future, we can actually make them sure that why the people who have left us have been forced to leave the organization. So we have to actually make clear the survivors that why people who have left are वो क्यों छोड़ के गए, the people who left, why these left, and now what is your future. तो हमने इनको बताना है सर्वाइवर्स को, उनको कंसल्ट करना है, उनको काउंसल करना है कि what were the reasons for the people who have left the organization and now you are to work with us and what is your future, how we would be dealing with you in future, whether there would be any future announcement with respect to this downsizing or layoff. So we have to actually clear these people in advance. Well, we may offer certain outplacement services for the survivors. Outplacement services can जी, we can extend certain counseling to the people who have been asked to resign or who have been asked to leave the organization. उनको कुछ facilitate कर सकते हैं job search में, उनको हम train कर सकते हैं how to design CV, how to appear in an interview, how to apply for different jobs. तो हम उनको certain इस तरह की दे सकते हैं services that actually we by which we show that we are concerned, organization is concerned with your problems. So by actually doing these by taking all of these steps, we can actually lessen the shock or suffering for the people who have actually experienced these downsizing or layoffs. We can also we have to also treat with the survivors as well in order to keep them motivated, satisfied and loyal with our organization. Now we have to discuss some of the strategies to deal with human resource shortage. So on the other way around, if organization see that now it has it has its human resource is actually lesser than its need or requirements for its HR. So here this organization is facing HR shortage. So what are the options in order to deal with the HR shortage? Organization can go for overtime, can go for temporary employees, it can go for outsourcing, it can go for retrain transfers, turnover reductions हो सकती है, external hiring हो सकती है नई, और certain in order to deal with HR shortage, organization can go for technological innovation. So we will be discussing few of these options in order to deal with HR shortage. So the very first option in order to deal with the HR shortage may be the employment of temporary workers. So instead of going for permanent hiring, actually organization may deal with HR shortage, problem with HR shortage by actually employing workers on temporary basis. अगर organization permanently hire कर लेगी तो उसकी responsibility हो जाएगी. अब उसने उस employee को retain करना है. And if there is a problem in terms of economy, slowdown of economy, or in terms of loss of its market share, so a company that hires employees on a permanent basis may face certain problems of HR surplus at some future point in time. तो इन सारी चीज़ों को अवॉइड करने के लिए कि आपको कल downsizing या lay off ना करनी पड़े, so usually managers go for this employing temporary workers. There are certain advantages of as well as disadvantages of employing temporary workers. Well, organization has flexibility to operate. ठीक है, तो organization की demand कम ज़्यादा होती है, so it doesn't matter. Because now organization may actually refuse to these employees who are on temporary basis at any time. और अगर इसकी डिमांड ज़्यादा होती है तो इस और ज़्यादा इसको enhance कर सकते हैं temporary workers की base को. Well, these are low cost option. And temporary workers are low cost option as compared to the permanent hire, because here organization would be paying only salaries or wages, and it's no more required to pay benefits. ये salaries में क्या फ़र्क है और benefits में क्या फ़र्क है, students ये हम discuss करेंगे in some future lectures. हमारे compensation पे lectures होंगे तो उसमें हम देखेंगे कि जो उसके benefits में और उसकी compensation, fixed compensation में क्या difference है, हम अपने future lectures में ये करेंगे. So temporary workers, and these are low cost option. They actually offer flexibility to the organization, and they require lesser administration, because organization would not be managing benefits for these people. So there is lesser need for administration for these people. आपने कोई उनके leave का record नहीं रखना, कोई आपने उनके absence का attendance का रिकॉर्ड नहीं रखना, आपने उनका टाइम का रिकॉर्ड नहीं रखना, आपने उनकी बोनसेस का, उनके डिफरेंट अलाउंसेस का, उनके मेडिकल फैसिलिटी का, उनके हाउस रेंट का, उनके फ्यूल का, उनके किसी चीज़ का आपने रिकॉर्ड नहीं रखना. सो इट एक्चुअली लेसर द burden of administration from the perspective of employing temporary workers. Well, there are certain agencies that offer these temporary workers to organizations. तो यहाँ पे organization के लिए और भी benefits हैं by employing temporary workers, because the agencies that offer temporary workers have gone for dealing with certain hiring tasks. तो टेम्परेरी वर्कर्स जो आप लेते हैं क्लीनिंग सर्विस के लिए हो सकता है, डेली लेबर के लिए हो सकता है, किसी और चीज़ के लिए हो सकता है, तो उनकी हायरिंग या उनकी जो भी इस तरह एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की चीज़ें हैं वो डील करते हैं एजेंसीज हु प्रोवाइड दीज टेम्परेरी वर्कर्स टू ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस. तो उनके हायरिंग टास्क अब ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं करनी, एंड दीज एजेंसीज हैव एक्चुअली ट्रेन्ड, इनको ट्रेनिंग भी यही देते हैं एजेंसीज दैट प्रोवाइड टेम्पररी वर्कर्स टू ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। तो उनकी ट्रेनिंग नहीं करनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने और उनकी हायरिंग या उनकी फायरिंग में इन्वॉल्व नहीं है। सो इट lessens the burden for administration or management of these workers. Well, there are other benefits because it offers opportunity to the organization to test a person before permanent hiring. बहुत सारे organizations की ये policies हो गई हैं कि they are not going to directly offer a job to a person who has not been tested by the organization. So first, these organizations actually offer temporary employment. Teachers, यूनिवर्सिटी या कॉलेज टीचर्स में भी इस तरह होता है कि पहले उनको विजिटिंग में रखा जाता है, उसके बाद उनको आफ्टर सीइंग देयर परफॉर्मेंस दे मे बी ऑफर्ड जॉब ऑन परमानेंट बेसिस. सो एक्चुअली टेम्परेरी वर्कर्स provide an opportunity to the organization that this person can be checked before offering any permanent job. Well, what is the benefit for the organization the moment these temporary workers have joined the organizations? So because they are new to the organizations, they have no preset mindset for that is actually bound with the culture or environment or climate of the organization. They bring some of the unique or innovative objective point of view. ये जो नए एम्प्लॉयज होते हैं उनके ऑब्जेक्टिव न्यू पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू होते हैं दैट इज ऑल टुगेदर डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द एग्जिस्टिंग पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ द एग्जिस्टिंग एम्प्लॉयज, और इनके एक्सपीरियंस वेरिड होते हैं. सो दे मे एक्चुअली ब्रिंग सम क्वालिटी टू द वर्क विद इन दैट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. अब इसके कुछ नेगेटिव पॉइंट्स क्या हैं जी? और देयर वुड बी कंटिन्यूस टेंशन बिटवीन परमानेंट एंड टेम्पररी एम्प्लॉयज. Because the permanent employees may see these temporary employees that they may be replacing us. तो वो जो उनके अपने एम्प्लॉय हैं परमानेंट एम्प्लॉय, उनको उनसे थ्रेट फील होता है कि हो सकता है कल को हमें रिप्लेस कर दे. सो देयर इज कंटिन्यूस टेंशन. और अगर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एम्प्लॉय कर लेती है ये टेम्पररी वर्कर्स बिफोर एक्चुअली ऑफरिंग ले ऑफ्स आर डाउनसाइजिंग, तो वो जो छोड़ के जा रहे हैं उनकी तो डायरेक्ट इनके साथ कन्फ्रंटेशन हो जाएगी. डायरेक्ट वो इनको परसीव करेंगे कि दे आर बीइंग हायर्ड ऑन द कॉस्ट ऑफ आवर ले ऑफ्स. सो दीज आर द बेनिफिट्स आर सम ऑफ द डीमेरिट्स ऑफ ऑफरिंग टेम्पररी एम्प्लॉयमेंट. This is outsourcing. Well, organizations can go for outsourcing of a complete function. It is actually a set of services that have been previously performed by this organization. Now they are actually offering contracting with another organization to perform a broad set of services. We can take the example of data entry service. We can take the example of security service, recruitment of their personnel, and we can certain airlines go for the ticket reservation system by actually contracting with another party. The difference, there is a difference between this outsourcing option and employing temporary workers. Here, in both of the cases, another party, another organization is involved. Well, employing temporary workers, organization receive only workers who would be performing on different jobs. Well, outsourcing में हम एक complete set of services assign कर देते हैं to another organization. It may be any service. In our scenario, in our environment, we see a massive use of security service that has been outsourced to these security agencies. So what is the rationale for organization to go for this outsourcing? Because now this organization that has been outsourced this service can operate at economies of scale. So a single organization that is offering security service to different organizations in different industries may operate this service, security service, at a mass scale, thus achieving economies of scale. So it actually offers a low-cost option for organizations to go for outsourcing of any service. Well, for which services an organization can go for outsourcing? Only the services that are not related or that are not pertaining to the core competency of organization. So organizations कभी भी अपना एयरलाइंस कभी भी अपना फ्लाइट ऑपरेशंस या अपनी इन फ्लाइट ऑपरेशंस या अपने ऑपरेशन एट मेजर एयरपोर्ट्स वो नहीं देंगे, आउटसोर्स नहीं करेंगे. जो उनका कोर एरिया कोर कॉम्पिटेंसी है वो फंक्शन आउटसोर्स नहीं करेंगे, वो सर्विस आउटसोर्स होगी जो इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है. So because in this way organization do want to retain a control over their competitive advantage by not outsourcing important or vital areas of function to other organization. Well, we also see certain outsourcing in manufacturing as well as services that occurs because to avail cheap labor. American or European organizations, they have actually built their manufacturing facilities at certain locations where they can avail the advantages of cheap labor. So automobiles, electronics, mobile handsets, ready-made garments, ये manufacture कहाँ पे होती हैं? चाइना में, बांग्लादेश, पाकिस्तान, इंडिया, थाईलैंड, लो कॉस्ट लोकेशंस पे, जबकि इनके प्रोडक्ट डिज़ाइन कहाँ बनते हैं? अमेरिका, जापान और यूरोप. सो आउटसोर्सिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन करती है वो सर्विसेज जो उनके इम्पोर्टेंट या कोर एरियाज में नहीं होते, जो कह ले के लेसर इम्पोर्टेंट होते हैं, जो सेकेंडरी सर्विसेज होती हैं, उन चीज़ों को, उन सर्विसेज को आउटसोर्स कर दिया जाता है. सो ये जो ट्रेंड है आउटसोर्सिंग इन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, इसे हम कहते हैं ऑफशोरिंग. इस कॉन्सेप्ट को सर्टेन राइटर्स कॉल इट एज ऑफशोरिंग. व्हेन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एक्चुअली स्टार्ट ऑपरेटिंग इट्स प्रोडक्शन फैसिलिटीज एट सम क्रॉस बॉर्डर लोकेशंस, दूसरी जगह पे जाकर, दूसरे कंट्री में जाके प्रोडक्शन करते हैं जस्ट फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ अवेलिंग चीप लेबर. सो दिस concept is termed as offshoring. There are other options available in order to manage human resource shortage. This is overtime or expanded hours. Well, students organization में दो तरह के एम्प्लॉयज होते हैं. एक को हम कहते हैं exempt, एक को हम कहते हैं नॉन exempt. मैनेजरियल एम्प्लॉयज होते हैं, पीपल हु आर वर्किंग ऑन सम हायर पोजीशंस, रिस्पॉन्सिबल पोजीशंस पे होते हैं. मैनेजरियल जॉब्स में वो एग्जेम्प्टेड होते हैं फ्रॉम दिस ओवर टाइम. अगर एम्प्लॉयज, मैनेजरियल एम्प्लॉयज एक्सटेंडेड आवर्स के लिए काम करते हैं, लेट नाइट उनकी सिटिंग होती है बैंक में, जैसे आजकल रूटीन में लोग छोड़ के जाते हैं टिल इशा तक काम कर रहे होते हैं बैंक में एम्प्लॉयज, लेकिन उनको ओवर टाइम नहीं पे किया जाता बिकॉज दे आर एग्जेम्प्टेड एम्प्लॉयज, exempted for overtime. So if they are called for work on weekends or they are asked to work for extended hours beyond official hours, so they won't be receiving any financial compensation. Well, employees at lower level, they are called non-exempt. जो operators, supervisors, labor वाला काम करते हैं, जो workers हैं, उनको नॉन एग्जाम्प्ट एम्प्लॉयज कहा जाता है. सो इफ दे आर आस्क्ड टू वर्क फॉर एक्स्ट्रा आवर्स, even it may be 1 hour, so they are organization is responsible to pay for this hour. So usually these organizations are required to pay non-exempt workers level जो employees हैं उनको pay करना है by the rate of 1.5 time of their normal wages. उनका जो normal wage rate है उससे 1.5 times, कुछ organization 2 times pay करती हैं. So if a person actually has been hired by an organization and its hourly wage rate is 100 rupees, so if this employee is asked to work for extra time, overtime जब वो लगाता है तो उसको 1 घंटे के instead of normal wage rate 100 rupees, now this person is entitled to receive 150 rupees, 1.5 times of their normal wage rates. Overtime organizations prefer करती हैं जब देखते हैं कि देर इज़ अ हायर लेवल ऑफ डिमांड एंड इट्स नॉट सस्टेनेबल, इट्स फॉर ओनली शॉर्ट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, देर इज़ ओनली अ सर्ज इन डिमांड दैट वुड बी एट सम टाइम वो डाउन चली जाएगी। जैसे डिफरेंट ओकेजन आते हैं, डिफरेंट सेरेमनीज होती हैं, ईद, क्रिसमस, इस तरह बैक टू स्कूल सीजन आ जाता है, तो इसमें ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कर सकती हैं कि ओवर टाइम पे रन कर लें अपनी फैक्ट्रीज, अपनी लोकेलिटी, अपनी सर्विसेज। लेकिन ये परमानेंट बेसिस पे नहीं होगा। फॉर एक्सटेंडेड पीरियड ऑफ टाइम दिस स्ट्रेटजी इज नॉट प्रेफर्ड बिकॉज वर्कर्स ओनली अप्रिशिएट this added compensation for short time, otherwise they may feel stressed and frustrated. तो अगर आप उसे for a couple of days, for a couple of weeks, or even for 1 month, if you call them to work for extra hours, they would be happy. And if you call them to work for extra hours, normal week में होते हैं 40 hours, आप उसे कहते हैं कि you are required to work for 56 hours in a week or 72 hours, इससे भी ज़्यादा कुछ और नहीं। तो एक्सटेंडेड पीरियड, फॉर लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम दे मे बी अंडर स्ट्रेस, उनको साइकोलॉजिकल या इमोशनल प्रॉब्लम्स आना शुरू हो जाते हैं। सो दिस स्ट्रेटजीज इज दिस ओवर टाइम स्ट्रेटजी इज प्रेफर्ड ओनली फॉर अ डिमांड दैट इज फॉर इंक्रीज डिमांड दैट इज फॉर इन शॉर्ट रन। Now here we are going to see an overview or summarize for all of the options that management can take in order to deal with labor shortage or surplus. In start of the lecture we have discussed that these strategies that are used to deal with labor shortage or labor surplus differ in terms of the speed of results. ये first जो table है, upper table, this shows options for reducing a surplus, options for reducing a surplus। और यहाँ पे important क्या है जी, जिसमें हम इसे चेक करेंगे स्पीड ऑफ रिजल्ट्स, कितनी जल्दी वो चेंज इम्प्लीमेंट हो जाते हैं, और अमाउंट ऑफ सफरिंग काज्ड टू एम्प्लॉइज who have been the victim of downsizing, pay reductions, something else. Now we are to on the lower side there is a table that shows options for avoiding a shortage of labor. Here these strategies are to be discussed with respect to speed of results, speed or ability to change later on. हमारे पास लेबर शॉर्टेज है तो हम इसको कितनी स्पीड से ओवरकम कर सकते हैं, and if there is a need to go back to the previous situation, so what is the ability to late change later on. तो ये बाद में कितनी आपके पास फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी है to go back the previous situation, हम इसमें डिस्कस करते हैं all of the strategies that are available for dealing with surplus or shortage. तो इसमें downsizing strategy, this may produce fast results in terms of dealing with surplus of labor, और इसके amount of suffering would be high. लोग बहुत ज़्यादा सफ़र करते हैं when people would be losing their jobs, so they would be suffering emotionally and psychologically as well as economically. Another strategy, pay reductions, यहाँ पे employees are asked to receive pay for not for 30 days, instead 28 or 26 or less than 26 days. So because they would be experiencing a reduction in their pay, so this is a fast strategy, but its suffering would be also high. Demotions, employees को कुछ डाउनवर्ड शिफ्ट कर दिया जाता है, मैनेजर से असिस्टेंट मैनेजर से सुपरवाइजर कर दिया जाता है, हो सकता है। This is one of the option. It may produce fast result but suffering is high. Transfer हो सकती हैं, work sharing हो सकता है। There are at the lower end of this table there are options: hiring freeze, natural attrition, early retirement, and retraining. These options produce speed of result for these options is slow, while amount of suffering is low. So you have to make a choice between the first strategies that are able to produce fast results and the last four strategies that are able to produce slow results, but they also differ with respect to amount of suffering. तो यहाँ पे पहली strategies के लिए होगा अमाउंट ऑफ सफरिंग हाई होगी और लास्ट स्ट्रेटजीज के लिए अमाउंट ऑफ सफरिंग क्या है, लो है. सो बेस्ड अपॉन योर सिचुएशन, योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड योर एम्प्लॉइज यू हैव विद यू, यू आर टू मेक a judgment, you are to actually go for a trade-off between the strategy that produce fast result but suffering is high and the strategy that produce slow result but suffering is also low. Now we have to discuss the strategies that we use to avoid a shortage. तो यहाँ पे हमारे पास overtime है, overtime ऑफर करके हम इसमें effective results बहुत फास्ट अचीव करते हैं, क्विक अचीव करते हैं. रिजल्ट इज फास्ट और उसकी एबिलिटी टू चेंज लेटर, रिवर्स करना इस सिचुएशन को इज वेरी इजी. और टेम्पोरेरी एम्प्लॉइज भी फास्ट रिजल्ट प्रोड्यूस करेंगे और इसको चेंज करना हाई है, एबिलिटी टू चेंज लेटर इज हाई, इजी है. आउटसोर्सिंग हम किसी और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन दे सकते हैं अपनी कोई भी सर्विस, कोई भी फंक्शन, तो इसमें भी फास्ट रिजल्ट और इसकी एबिलिटी इज हाई, हम दोबारा रिवर्स कर सकते हैं. रिट्रेन, टर्नओवर रिडक्शंस, न्यू एक्सटर्नल हायर्स, टेक्नोलॉजिकल इनोवेशंस, ये क्या है, इसके रिजल्ट स्लो होंगे लेकिन इसकी यहाँ पे एबिलिटी टू चेंज लो हो जाएगी या मॉडरेट होगी. ये देखें यहाँ पे टर्नओवर इनके लिए लो या मॉडरेट एबिलिटी है. सो हेयर वी कैन as a manager you have to adopt certain option in order to deal with this labor shortage, where there are different options available for certain these three options. Results can be achieved in a fast way, but there is, along with the ability to change later on, that is also high. So based upon the needs of your organization, based upon your future objective, based upon the technology that you with your organization, you have to make a choice between these options available. So it would be actually depending upon the situation, depending upon your organization strategy, your top management support, your organization structure, your future of your organization, and some other factors. So this was the actually analysis or overall view of the options that are available with us as a mean to reduce, as a mean to deal with the labor shortage or labor surplus. Now we have completed the topic of dealing with managing with labor shortage and labor surplus. Now we are to discuss how we can measure the effectiveness of HRM function. Well, it's very easy, it's very straightforward to assess the performance of marketing function through the measures that we can take, like market share, सेल्स ग्रोथ. तो इसके थ्रू हम मार्केटिंग डिपार्टमेंट की एफिशिएंसी या उसकी इफेक्टिवनेस को चेक कर सकते हैं. फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट की इफेक्टिवनेस चेक कर सकते हैं बाय रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट, रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी, रिटर्न ऑन फिक्स्ड एसेट्स, रिटर्न ऑन टोटल एसेट्स. सो दीज कैन बी डिफरेंट चेक्स, डिफरेंट मेजर्स टू चेक द इफेक्टिवनेस ऑफ मार्केटिंग. वेल, it is very difficult when it comes to the area of human resources, because here we cannot we cannot very clear cut or very clearly show that this is a performance or effectiveness of HR. Here who are the customers of HRM? Other departments, managers and employees of the organization are the customers of HR department. We are to produce, as HR manager, we have to produce results by working with other departments, managers and employees. Well, as human resource manager, we have to show a real link between HR activities and organizational performance. So हमने real link दिखाना है कि हमारे HR activities, जिसे हम कहते हैं job analysis, HRM planning, recruitment and selection, training, development, उसकी compensation, उसकी performance appraisal, career development. These are the various activities performed by HR activity. Now we have to show the link, a real link of these activities with the organizational performance. So research has shown that there is a link between best HR practices with certain other indicators. So we can actually say, or we can show that there is a link between HR best practices, HR policies with these indicators. It may be reduced turnover. So organization that is actually that is applying certain best HR practices would be experiencing reduced turnover. उसका turnover कम होगा. This organization would be experiencing high productivity. Because employees would be satisfied, committed, loyal, trustworthy, dependable, so their productivity would be high. Well, certain organizations that have applied best HR practices would be enhancing because of increased productivity. They would be experiencing enhanced profitability and market value of the firm. Organizations would be actually having high quality and highly motivated workforce. So actually we can show that there is a link between HR best practices and certain measures of for the effectiveness of HRM. So by showing the link between these different indicators and best HR practices, we can show the contribution or effectiveness of HRM for the achievement of overall objectives of the organization. HR effectiveness को मेजर किया जा सकता है फ्रॉम वेरियस वेज. वन वे हो सकता है उसके HR के रिकॉर्ड्स. ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस अपने HRM के रिकॉर्ड्स रखती हैं, उसकी सैलरी के, उनके बेनिफिट्स के, उनके एब्सेंसेस के, लीव के, डिफरेंट उनकी स्किल्स के, उनकी प्रमोशंस के या उनकी क्वालिफिकेशन के डिफरेंट रिकॉर्ड रखती है. इनसे हम शो कर सकते हैं HR की इफेक्टिवनेस. हम HR को स्पेशल ऑडिट्स करके शो कर सकते हैं HR की परफॉर्मेंस. HR की इफेक्टिवनेस हम शो कर सकते हैं बाय कंडक्टिंग रिसर्च. ठीक है, तो इसमें हम वेरियस चीज़ें कर सकते हैं. सबसे जो आसान चीज़ है वो है मेजर ऑफ HR इफेक्टिवनेस बाय द वे ऑफ HR रिकॉर्ड्स. तो हम यहाँ पे शो कर सकते हैं व्हाट इज HR एक्सपेंस पर एम्प्लॉय. तो एक एम्प्लॉय पे HRM डिपार्टमेंट कितना खर्चा करती है, उसकी हायरिंग का क्या खर्चा है, उसकी डेवलपमेंट या ट्रेनिंग पे कितना खर्चा करती है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, उनके बेनिफिट्स पे कितना. सो वी कैन कैलकुलेट HR एक्सपेंस पर एम्प्लॉय. We can also calculate compensation as a % of expenses. Total expenses में compensation का क्या proportion है, हम ये चेक कर सकते हैं. HR department का expense as a % of total expenses of organization, वो चेक कर सकते हैं हम. Cost of hires, एक employee को hire करने में कितनी cost incur करती है, ये चेक हो सकता है. Turnover rates within organization or with certain departments, ये हम चेक कर सकते हैं. Absenteeism rates check कर सकते हैं. Well, these are some of the traditional measures to check effectiveness of HR environment. There is a new unique way or modern technique to check the performance of HR, that is HR scorecard approach. This is an overall approach to check the effectiveness of HRM function. Here it actually measures HR functions effectiveness and efficiency in producing employee behaviors that are needed to achieve company's strategic goals. Company के जो overall goals हैं उनको achieve करने में we require certain relevant employee behaviors, और वो कैसे produce होंगे by the way of HRM functions that actually performs various activities, HR की activities. तो हम फिर स्कोर का इस HR स्कोर कार्ड में एक्चुअली शो किया जाता है वेरियस मेजर्स बाय द वे ऑफ चार्ट्स एंड ग्राफ्स. हाउ वी कैन क्रिएट HRM स्कोर कार्ड. हियर वी मस्ट बी एज अ डेवलपर ऑफ HR स्कोर, वी मस्ट नो व्हाट इज अ कंपनी स्ट्रेटजी. कंपनी के ओवरऑल ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है. We must the critical point for this HR scorecard is the understanding. Our understanding for the link, cause the link between HR activities. First, we have to focus HR activities. HR activities would produce required employee behaviors. HR activities मैंने आपको क्या बताया. Planning, job analysis, recruitment and selection, placement, orientation, training and development, performance appraisal, compensation, कैरियर डिफरेंट एक्टिविटीज़ हैं. ये एक्टिविटीज़ प्रोड्यूस करेंगी एम्प्लॉय बिहेवियर्स. एम्प्लॉय बिहेवियर क्या हो सकते हैं, उसकी जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन, उसकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल कमिटमेंट, उसकी कंसर्न फॉर क्वालिटी ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स, कंसर्न फॉर क्वांटिटी ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स, उसका बिहेवियर, उसका साइकोलॉजिकल इमोशनल बिहेवियर एट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, उसका organizational citizenship behavior. So these are different employee behaviors that are produced by the way of HRM activities in order to produce organizational outcomes. तो यहाँ पे क्या organizational outcomes हमने लेके आनी है, ये हम कह सकते हैं satisfied customers, satisfied workforce, उसके आप कह सकते हैं enhanced capacity utilization, ये different organizational outcomes हो सकती हैं. Now we are to actually check the link of these organizational outcomes with organization's performance. अब actually क्या translate हुई हैं in terms of organization performance. So organization's performance हम check कर सकते हैं in terms of certain financial measures, उसकी profitability और उसका टोटल प्रॉफिट, नेट प्रॉफिट कह लें इसे, या उसका मार्केट शेयर इंक्रीज हुआ है, उसकी सेल्स एनहांस हुई है, तो ये हम चेक कर सकते हैं. सो with respect to this HR scorecard, as the expert of creating this HR scorecard, we are to show the causal link of HR activities with employee behavior, of employee behaviors with organizational outcomes, and of organizational outcomes with organization's performance. So ये सारा link हमने show करना है within this HR scorecard. And for this we need certain quantitative standards in order to measure all of these activities or results. So हमारे पास standards होने चाहिए और metrics होने चाहिए, quantitative metrics, in order to measure HR activities or practices, in order to measure employee behavior, in order to measure organizational outcomes and organization's performance. तो ये सारी चीज़ें हैं जो हमने करनी है in order to create HR scorecard. Now, if we are simply, we are to show simply HR performance or effectiveness, and we are not going to compare it with market, there is of no use for such indicators. So actually we are to show our turnover rate with the market turnover rate. So if we calculate that our turnover rate is 25, so we cannot guess, we cannot actually take any decision based upon knowing that our turnover rate is 25. Well, it would be actually checked in relation with the market. So market rate में अगर turnover rate 50% है, so you are in a good position. अगर market में turnover rate क्या 5% है, so you are at a bad position. So actually these effectiveness measures should always be compared with the industry, with the best performing firms, with the industry leaders. So this is a concept of benchmarking. Here, students, we are to compare specific measures of performance against data on those measures in other best practice organizations. तो आपने अपनी HR effectiveness के जो measures हैं उनको compare करना है with other organizations. ये हो सकता है best performing हो सकता है, ये industry average हो सकता है, या कुछ और हो सकता है. So what are the common benchmarks? Here we can calculate compare total compensation as a percentage of net income. इसको अपनी figure को compare करें with market average या best performing firm. आप अपनी percentage of management positions filled internally को check करें with market figure. डॉलर सेल्स पर एम्प्लॉय को चेक करें मार्केट के साथ, और अपने बेनिफिट्स एज एज अ परसेंट ऑफ पेरोल कॉस्ट को चेक करें with best practices or with industry firms. So this would be actually making you to have a focus or to have an analysis of the market with respect to your position, that how your organization is standing within the market. Either it's above the market or below the market. So you have to actually go for and compare your HR effectiveness measures with the industry averages or best performing firms. The last topic for today's lecture is Human Resources Information System. Well, because of technological advancement, because of quick mode of communication, because of global competitions, organizations required to take quick actions in order to adjust their organization with respect to the changes that are taking place in the environment. So हमें quick decisions लेने हैं because of the changes in the environment. तो हम कोई भी organization isolation में perform नहीं कर सकती. Organization are to compete with the market, not only with local or national competitors but with the global competitors. So हमें quick decision लेनी है. So we are to actually access data with respect to our production, with respect to our marketing or our costing or our inventory. We are to keep all of this data very handy. Same is the case with HRM. So we are to enable ourselves to be able to access HRM information very quickly without actually incurring no time. Without loss of time, we are to access this in human resource information system. Well, what is this HRIS? This is an integrated system of hardware, software, and databases that are designed to provide information to be used in HR decision making. So यहाँ पे हमने क्या करना है, सारे यूज़ करना है IT, software technology, database technology in order to keep record of our HR. So we have for what options we can go for this HRI system. We can automate our payroll and benefit activities. We can take computer records of time that our employees spent within organization. हम उनकी ट्रेनिंग नीड्स का कर सकते हैं, स्किल्स का कर सकते हैं, हम उनके कैरियर का कर सकते हैं, HRA सिस्टम में हम इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं. Now, what are the benefits of why we should go for HRIS? There are two different types of benefits. One is the administrative and operational efficiency, because if we run manual records in order to keep manual efforts to keep records of these HRM of workforce, so it would be expensive, an expensive approach to keep manual records for our human resource. So HRIS actually offers an efficient and efficiency in terms of managing our workforce, because it compiles a high amount of data by actually incurring very low labor. अच्छा, दूसरा है इसका, it provides an advantage to the management by providing data for effective HR strategic planning. So if our management is able to access HR related data within no time, so it is in a good position to take decisions very quickly. So how this slide shows how we can use HRIS system, where we can use it for HR planning and analysis. We can use it for equal employment opportunities. We can use it in staffing of our workforce. We can use for HR development or training. We can use HRIS system in our compensation and benefit administration. We can use health, safety and security area में हम कर सकते हैं, and we can use it to have good relations with employees and unions. Well, this was something about HRIS. At this point we have completed our lecture. Now I am going to summarize lecture 3. Here we have discussed various plans to manage human resource surplus or shortage. With respect to surplus, we have discussed downsizing, layoff, pay reductions, demotions, like this. With respect to this shortage, we have discussed overtime, we have discussed outsourcing, offshoring, there are certain other techniques also available. We have also discussed how to assess HR effectiveness. Here we have discussed various approaches, and the latest technique is HR scorecard. We have also discussed what is benchmarking in relation with the HRM effectiveness, and at the end we have discussed human resource information system. Now let me discuss the books that I have used in order to deliver this lecture. This is HRM by Robert Mathis, John H. Jackson, that has been published by Cengage Learning, Delhi, India. And another book was Fundamentals of Human Resource Management, written by Raymond A. No, John R. Hollenbeck, Barry Gerhardt, and Patrick Wright. This has been produced by McGraw-Hill, New York. Another book was used, a framework for human resource management, written by Gary Dessler. It has been published by Dorling Kindersley, India. Well, this was all about our lecture number 3. So for the moment, thank you very much.